In the late 19th century, photography established itself as an essential tool for documenting different aspects of life and society, including everyday life on the American frontier. In this context, images emerged showing prostitutes in their own environments, often posing for the camera and offering a rare glimpse into their reality. In the 1870s, a major development in transportation revolutionized Death Valley. The mining of borax, a highly valuable mineral, depended on innovative methods to cross the vast, dry desert of the Great Basin. Huge convoys were created, each pulled by a team of 20 mules. These sturdy animals became crucial for transporting borax through the inhospitable terrain, ensuring that the valuable resource reached its destination despite numerous challenges. In this photograph, Black Elk appears on the left and stands out for having taken part in two defining moments of American history. In 1876, he was involved in the Battle of Little Bighorn, a clash between United States troops and various Great Plains tribes, including the Lakota Sioux. Quanah Parker became a remarkable figure among the Comanches, taking on responsibilities that went beyond his unusual heritage. He was the son of Cynthia Ann Parker, a white woman who was captured as a young girl and raised by the Comanches. He grew up amid constant challenges, when buffalo hunters advanced onto tribal lands, threatening his people's livelihood and traditions. Quanah emerged as a determined leader in defending his roots and preserving the Comanche way of life. In this scene, we see two women posing gracefully in a richly decorated bedroom at a brothel in Miles, Montana. At the time, a local judge described the town, which housed around 1,000 people, as a place where questionable customs prevailed and authority was barely present. A photographic record shows a cowboy from Caldwell, Kansas, wearing clothing suited to his everyday needs. Over his pants, he wears sturdy chaps, a vital defense against the climate and the ground conditions. Using this protective gear not only shows constant awareness of the environment, but also underscores the importance of being prepared for the typical challenges of a cowboy's routine. Few would have guessed this photo would become George Armstrong Custer's last portrait, considering how often he appeared before the camera. Over his lifetime, he posed for more than 150 portraits. However, this one was taken just 2 months before a major event in United States history, the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876. By the mid-19th century, the ambrotype appeared as a more practical and affordable way to capture images on glass plates, leaving daguerreotypes in the background. The identity of the man pictured in this specific ambrotype is unknown, but his face remains one of the Old West's most noteworthy records, sparking curiosity and interest to this day. During a quick break while crossing Greenwood County, Kansas, a group of pioneers gathers around their covered wagon to share a meal. This wagon, essential for those traveling long distances in search of new land and opportunities, carried not just supplies but also the hope for a better future with every wheel that turned along the expansive trails. Joella Irwin made a name for herself in the rodeo scene by becoming one of the first cowgirls of the early 20th century. At a time when these competitions were dominated by men, she broke barriers by taking part in several equestrian events. Her strong presence and skill drew attention, opening doors for other women to earn their place in that world. Get ready for a historical record from 1884, printed on a cabinet card, showing a scene at the San Carlos Reservation in Arizona. It stands out because many believe it to be the first photograph of Geronimo, one of the most influential Apache leaders, who would later become a cultural icon recognized worldwide. Jesse James rose to fame in the Old West as part of the James Younger Gang, drawing attention for the robberies he led. His bold actions spread through various cities, fueling stories that ranged from heroism to cruelty. In 1882, his life came to an abrupt end when he was betrayed and killed, cutting short the legend he had built. When the United States was expanding its borders, Kit Carson emerged as a prominent figure. He participated in a variety of expeditions, gaining prestige as a fur trapper and explorer. His skill in mountainous terrain stood out, and over time he grew even more famous for working as a guide to John Pathfinder Fremont, one of the country's leading explorers. Taken around 1880, this photograph shows people whose identities remain a mystery. Experts suggest that the standing man could be John Kinney, known for his criminal connections. Details about this group continue to intrigue researchers. In 1875, Kinney built a notorious reputation by leading a gang of thieves that operated in southern New Mexico. Pearl Hart became a noteworthy figure of the Old West for pulling off one of the last stagecoach robberies in 1899. This event not only cemented her in historical records, but also brought her national prominence, especially after Cosmopolitan magazine widely reported her story. Rose Dunn, known to many as Rose of Cimarron, made her mark at 15 years old in 1895 in the quiet town of Ingalls, in what was then the turbulent Oklahoma Territory. During a shootout between the police and a group of outlaws, she made the risky decision to help her boyfriend, a notorious criminal, an act that sealed her place in the records of the time. Texas John Slaughter rose to importance in United States history. He began to garner attention as a Texas Ranger during the Civil War, later building a strong career as a cattle rancher. After the war, he settled permanently in the Douglas region of Arizona. A famous photograph from 1885 depicts this time, highlighting the significance of his actions and contributions. Olive Oatman came to be seen as a symbol of courage and transformation. After being captured by the Mojave tribe, she lived among them and received a blue tattoo on her chin as part of her integration. Made with cactus ink, this Mojave ritual was believed to ensure a safe passage into the next life. The Texas Rangers began in the early 19th century and left a deep imprint on Texas history. In 1823, Stephen Austin informally organized this security force, but it was only officially recognized in 1835. Over the years, the Rangers chased criminals and guarded Texas's borders, becoming a crucial part of law enforcement in the region. This newly discovered photograph shows a less common view of the Old West, depicting a woman engaged in ranching work despite the era's challenges. Found by Mark Lee Gardner in an antique store in Missouri, it sheds light on a lesser-explored chapter of history. Tiburcio Vasquez established himself as one of the most prominent Hispanic outlaws of the Old West. His criminal pursuits spanned nearly 20 years, including thefts, robberies, and other illegal activities that fed his reputation. It's thought that a photograph taken around 1865 helped boost this fame, making him known both for his crimes and his knack for dodging the authorities. Cowboys, iconic figures of the Old West and essential in caring for herds, often visited photography studios. When they did, they were sure to pose in their work clothes, immortalizing an essential piece of their story. At the burial of Tom McClory, Frank McClory, and Billy Clanton, those present adopted a phrase that would forever mark the weight of that tragedy: murdered in the streets of Tombstone. The words echoed the grief and anger surrounding one of the Old West's most famous confrontations, the 1881 gunfight at the OK Corral, sealing that moment as a deeply painful chapter in local history. Kate Rockwell became a standout performer by entertaining miners in Alaska at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. Her shows featured dances and popular songs of the era, drawing rapt audiences and enthusiastic applause. She carried herself confidently on stage, dressed in red chiffon that contrasted with the rugged surroundings. In doing so, she brought a touch of sophistication to the most remote places, always leaving people wanting more. In this 1865 photo, we see Wild Bill Hickok, known among Old West gunslingers, wearing his typical clothes, in contrast to the theatrical outfits he appears in elsewhere. This record offers a more genuine look at his personal style and how he presented himself at the time, giving us a direct glimpse into his choices. In 1876, when long cattle drives stretched across the heart of the country, a photo taken in Dodge City, Kansas, brought together Bat Masterson and Wyatt Earp. They were two key figures in law enforcement in the Old West, and this image reinforces the significance of their partnership during a pivotal moment in American history.